There's a word for how you feel when you get so overwhelmed with emotion from information that you feel like you literally get slugged in the mouth. Concuss, I think, is what it is. I feel concussed with information. We learned everything this week, and now it's our job to basically just get excited for the next few weeks as we prepare for what hopefully will be one of the coolest years of Not Scary Farm. So let's head down to the cave and dissect all the information that we just got told. This was a week. We heard all the things that we wanted to hear and some. And I don't really know where to start. So let's just go straight to the housekeeping. Something that makes Knott's very special, and it's something that they center every season around, their food. Now, a lot of people probably don't care too much about this. It's important to most. For Scary Farm, it's no exception. The menu is massive. I want to give you a bit of a rundown just of some of the things that they're going to have this year because there's a lot of it, and some of it sounds good. I am extremely excited. I'm psyched out of my mind about it to try a lot of these foods throughout the season this year. So we're going to kind of go all around the park and give you, and just list off the names of these items. Over at Coaster's Diner, there's Mesmer's Midnight Garden Salad and French Onion Bagel Burger. At the Grizzly Creek Lodge, over in Camp Snoopy, they've got the Gauntlet Garlic Overlord Burger and the Mac and Cheese Pepperoni Pizza. At Papa's Mexicanas, over in Fiesta Village, there's A la Diabla Fries, strictly on a stick, which is green bean fries. And at Suter's Pizza, there's the Jalapeno Popper Pizza. At the Boardwalk Barbecue, you're going to get to sink your teeth into some Swamp Gator sausage. Yes, that is alligator sausage, or so it's listed on the menu as such. You got your batch crazy pasta with rabbit tenderloin. The Calico Tater Tots, you got the fingers and toes tots there. Judge Roy Beans, if you get the knack for a little boozage. You got your pickle hitchin', which is basically, it looks like a pickle that's been hollowed out and filled with whiskey and pickle juice. I'll take it. And the Naughty Bean. At Miner's Mac, you've got your camel stew bread bowl made with real camel meat and the sweet potato pie. At Prop Shop Pizza, you got your spaghetti pie. You got your prosciutto decomposing pizza, which I think that's the one I had last year. It was really good. It's much better than it sounds. A lot of people don't really like pizza with the white sauce on their pizza, but this just hits, man. It hits. And the Mutant Philly cheesesteak pizza with real turtle meat. Enough said. We'll definitely be trying that also this year. Now, also at Strictly on a Stick, you've got the Erie Elk Chili Chambers Burger, which, holy hell, looks really good. You got your terrifying teriyaki meatballs and Dracula's fingers, and the ostrich hoagie, which is probably going to be super awesome. I had the, I think it was the Old Mill dog at the broiler this week, and was thoroughly surprised at how good it was. So when Knott's rolls out any kind of sausage or hot dog, I'm on board and I will be trying it. So let's get into some of the desserts that they're going to be having. A lot of these are probably going to be Charleston Circle, Ghost Town Bakery, Marketplace Bakery, those places. You've got the Serial Killer Funnel Cake, the Cinema Slasher Funnel Cake, the Ginger Snap Funnel Cake, Raspberry Beignets, Black Velvet Cake with Orange Buttercream, Bloody Mary Cake, got your Spider Cookie, it's a staple, the Black Whoopie Pie, Monster Krispies, Dracula's Bite, Zombie Skulls, Pumpkin Snickerdoodle Cookies, Graveyard Moose Cup, Halloween Snoopy Cookie, and Jack-o'-lantern Brownies, Ghostface Matcha Skeleton and Rum Chata, Into the Fog, Michi Verde, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing these words. I am not cultured. The Judge, Red Rum Runner, and something everybody was looking forward to, the Devil's Elixir. Knott seems to be kind of going all in on the Devil's Elixir lore this year with the 13th floor maze that they added to the Goring 20s area. So it looks like they're going to really dive into that story and answer a lot of questions that we've had for a very long time. Obviously, a lot of these things, if you're only going once or twice, you're probably not going to be able to get to them because, let's face it, we're not bovine. If you have the choice, choose wisely, because your decisions could impact your entire experience. I probably put a little too much on the food there, but... So let's get to the devil we know. Yes, they brought it back. The hanging will return, uncanceled. It looks like they're going to be going back to their old ways of really diving into pop culture. For that, I'm very excited for, because that will be the only show like that in town. Universal's not doing any shows this year because they don't have the theater for it anymore. And they haven't run Slaughter World in the Waterworld Arena in, 12 years or something like that. So, but involving the Green Witch in this seems like, while they are going to stick with what they've been doing for the past couple of years, they're going to somewhat go back to their roots and really focus on the Sarah Marshall story, and maybe we get some closure there. Maybe this is kind of the end of the road for her, and they're finally able to do away with the evil that she's kind of run amok in Ghost and Calico for so long now. That show's obviously, it's going to be in the Wagon Camp Theater. I think this is a good idea. I don't know how hot of a take that is, because I've heard conflicting opinions about the whole thing. A lot of people wanted it to be back on the Calico Mine stage. But I think this is a better bet. While the theater is much smaller, yes, and they're only running 3 shows a night, you really do have to make choices as to what you want to be doing at certain times there, if you're limited. The weird thing about the hanging show is you just don't know. You just don't know if this is going to be it or not. So my suggestion would be just to go see it, because you may not get another chance. In my opinion, having it in the Wagon Camp Theater is a very good idea, because it really, you're able to control the audience that's there. You don't have the random chance, which they had numerous times, which is why they canceled it in 2019 anyway. The random chance of somebody walking by that's wearing a Nobu necklace. You know who you are. And just happening to come across a joke that they don't find funny, that they find extremely offensive. Knotts gets a letter in the mail the next day. Before you know it, those complaints start adding up, and they decide to get rid of the show again. They're doing us a huge favor here by bringing the show back. They didn't have to. Even with the popular demand to have it, this is the best of every world. You can funnel off the people that don't want to experience it, that can't handle this kind of dirty humor, and you only have the people in the theater that want to see it. So this is a win-win for everybody. We were correct with what was going in the Walter Knott Theater. It is going to be a rock opera themed around what seems like hell. I don't know. But they brought in this new show called Music, Monsters, and Mayhem. A lot of people, again, are upset that Puppet Up isn't coming back. I think this is okay. Puppet Up didn't exactly run its course, but having fresh things throughout the park for people to do, especially people like myself that are there every year and have been there every year for the past few years, we're always going to want something new. And while you get other parks that offer new things every year because they have the budget to do stuff like that, Knott's does a lot of repeats. That's a Halloween thing. Most haunts do repeats. But having something new, especially if it's, they really sold it at the event. So if it's half as good as what they're saying it is, it could just blow our minds. We don't know. They're also bringing Dr. Cleaver back to the Birdcage Theater, which will be fun. I never got to see Dr. Cleaver shows back in the day. This was before my time. So that's also something new for me. Old heads didn't seem disappointed with this news. This was a good move. Knotts did a really good job of kind of blending classic theming, bringing back old favorites, and putting nice new spins on them. And I look forward to this as well. There's so many things that I look forward to. I know I've been saying that a lot, but this is very exciting times. And of course, the scare zones, we got everything returning, including Forsaken Lake, and we got the Gauntlet coming back to Camp Snoopy. I, again, am not an old head. I did not get to experience the Gauntlet back in the day, but we did get to meet some of the monsters at the reveal. And this has me more excited than two of the new mazes that they announced. I really enjoyed the Hollow in Camp Snoopy. That's one of my favorite places in the park because it's dark and eerie and really sets an old school Amity, Salem, Halloween vibe. While it doesn't really blend in with the maze that's there, the Chilling Chambers, it's gonna be cool because it's gonna be able to set a tone all by itself across the whole park. While we didn't get Dia de los Muertos in Fiesta Village, I'm still hoping that what I'm thinking is probably going to happen there is they're going to probably do the same thing that Universal does, where they have inside the circle, it's like a Dia de los Muertos celebration. That's where they serve a lot of their alcohol and stuff. And forgive me, I don't remember the name of that area. But I'm hoping that that's the party zone, that Fiesta Village will be the Halloween party zone. Fingers crossed that that's what they do. I'm not going to give up hope on that area being anything other than just a safe space. We got these 3 new mazes. It's really funny because the day of the announcement event, they opened up the display curtain in the display in Virginia's right in front of the park on Market Street. And a couple of the display skeletons had hats on that had the one said Slasher Cinema and the other one said the Gauntlet. And we saw pictures of that at like 11 o'clock in the morning. And we went a couple hours later at 3 and they were gone. Some people got sneak peeks before there were sneak peeks, but that's Knott's for you, man. They like to do that sometimes. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's not the end of the world. But inside the Boardwalk Ballroom, we're getting Slasher Cinema. This will be fun. We figured it was going to be a very simple concept of an idea that's been thrown around all over the place, and John Cook's going to put he's going to put his paw print on it, and it's probably going to be the same kind of vibe as Dark Ride. Dark Ride, when it first came out, was a lot of people's favorite. I love that maze. That maze was so much fun, and this has a potential to be no exception. We got Room 13 coming up in the arcade. This was exactly what we thought it was going to be. This is going to fit well into the Goring 20s, and it seems like this is going to be the story of what actually happens when you drink the Devil's Elixir. This is a very cool idea because that scare zone does well every year. It's a favorite of a lot of people every year because it's kind of an original concept. I mean, when you think about the Roaring 20s, you don't really think about the religious zealotry and the things that could happen if a plague were to be unleashed upon humanity, via some sort of drink. So having this be just kind of an extension of the scare zone is very exciting. I talked to the director and he said that the barn door in the back. Now I think he and I were talking about two different things. I still think the entrance is right there around the corner, but he says that's just a maintenance hatch. And he says that this layout is a completely different layout from Trapped. Obviously, it's a very different vibe. But he says it's huge in there because they had a lot of room to work with. And a lot of questions get answered in this story. So this will be fun. And I'm hoping that this is a mainstay now location for Scary Farm and that they stick with 10 mazes every year. And then we have the Chilling Chambers, which is the Keeper, his maze. Basically, this is in essence a gauntlet of a lot of the old haunts that Knott's has created throughout the years, all jumbled into one labyrinth of hell. The Keeper is going to unleash his favorites on you, and it's up to you to survive the night, basically. This maze is a beast. The way they extended that wall so far, they're not even done with the construction on the outside yet because there's just so much work to be done. Underneath, I'm sure they're pretty much done because those walls went up weeks ago. But the front, man, they have so much room. I really hope that this, because they're using so much of the front, that line section, when it was Pumpkin Eater, there was not a lot of queue space there. If you have to spill out of that door, there's not a lot of room for switchbacks there next to the little Camp Snoopy, Snoopy in the Canoe sign. That area's got the potential to get just chaotic. Hopefully it doesn't get too cramped. I'm not going to bet against that because that whole front section, I have never seen it get used like that. That maze looks like it's going to be 20 minutes to walk through. So it's only a couple weeks now before the opening here. So as I said before, we get to sit on this info for a little while. Until then, I'm going to keep my eyes open, my ears peeled, follow the breadcrumbs as they drop them to me, and I will see you all next week.